people that are concerned about building credibility are the people that that need help, not only with the script, but practicing the script. There are 14 mistakes that people make, all people make, when they're opening their mouth. And one of those big ones is that they beg. Everybody begs when they come in. Everybody, including the sharpest salesmen, the people that have been talking to folks all over their life, they think they can come in and just, I don't need all this crap. I know how to talk to people, but they don't, because they don't know the questions to ask. They don't know how to get the seller to make us the offer. And most of the time, they don't even know how to talk to people.
Ron, thank you so much for joining me on our Thought Leader Spotlight series. On these, we really like to shine a spotlight on industry experts like yourself to hear your inspiring stories and also share the lessons you've learned and how you see the world evolving. So today, everyone, we're very excited to welcome the godfather of modern real estate investing, Ron LeGrand. Ron, you're a leading expert on quick turn residential real estate. And over the past 40 years, Ron has bought and sold over 3,000 single family homes, doing millions of dollars in real estate transactions. And Ron, you're also a highly successful author, and you teach thousands of students with your live events and courses every year. So I feel that it's rare that we've actually got you in your office because you're traveling frequently. Welcome on, Ron. It's so good to have you here.
Well, thank you. It's always a pleasure, David. Always a pleasure to speak to qualified, motivated people.
Of course. Well, to start things off, I'd like to go deeper than your bio into your real estate investing journey. And I'm wondering, looking back, what comes to mind as some of the most pivotal decisions that you've made in your career that have led you to this level of success so far?
Probably the most pivotal was in 1982 when I decided to go to see my first seminar on how to buy real estate with no money or credit. Of course, I knew that it was a scam for sure. And because I didn't have any, I went and I missed Dallas on TV. J.R. Ewing was my hero, but I chose to go. And that, of course, led me to another seminar that literally totally changed my life and led me to my first deal, my second, my third, and so forth, because I just kept going instead of going back to normal. So that was a very pivotal decision. But I can tell you, when I got up that morning, I had no idea what that decision was going to change for the rest of my life and hundreds of thousands of lives since. One teeny weeny little decision.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying that you went to the seminar, but you didn't actually, you thought it was a scam. You were skeptical,
sure.
But you went and it was really life-changing for you after that.
Sure. Yeah.
Love it. And who was the seminar? Who put on the seminar?
My first 2-hour presentation was by Carlton Sheets.
Carlton Sheets. All right. Yeah. Definitely heard that name before. Is Carlton Sheets still around?
No, he's gone.
Okay.
He put me in a 2-day event that Robert Allen sponsored, taught by a guy named Richard Powelson. And I missed 95% of that. I had no idea what he's talking about, but I picked up wholesaling and that got me out there and got my first deal. And again, I just kept on going. Dave, I want you to know that you're the only guy alive that'll have me on a podcast with a missing front tooth.
That's such a bummer. I know I heard your story at the beginning, right? But why don't you share with everyone else?
I sound a little funny to myself, for crying out loud. It's amazing what one tooth will do to your voice pattern. Oh, they put a temporary implant in there and it fell out, so I got to go get another one.
Gotcha. Nobody likes going to the dentist. I hope that's really painless for you and goes smoothly.
It will be. I'll make sure of it.
Well, the next question that I had for you, Ron, was you got a book titled Quick Turn Real Estate. And you can actually, it's called Quick Turn Real Estate Entrepreneur in Any Economy. So that's actually pretty great for me. Like, I've never gone through 2008, but sometimes I wonder, like, well, what happens in a downturn? Can we still wholesale? Can you define what quick turn means, first of all, for our audience?
Well, that's actually a very good question because it's a totally misunderstood term. Mm-hmm. What most people look at it as either you're wholesaling it or you're rehabbing it and retailing it and cashing out of it. Both of those are quick terms. In my world, we deal with terms deals. We buy on terms, we sell on terms, but we don't sell. We lease options to tenant buyers and try to hold on to them as long as we can. because we get just as big a non-refundable option deposit as most people will get renovating a house and taking months to do it and borrowing the money and dealing with contractors and all of that. And we get a lot more than a wholesaler would get. They just flip it and get a check and they're done with it. And the problem with wholesaling and rehabbing is that there's no more checks and you got to go back and go to work and keep doing it. And there's no residual income, and there's no tax benefits, there's no appreciation, no depreciation or any of that. We get all of that in the world of the pretty houses in the terms business with no limit to the upper price that we can do because we do it without using our money or credit. So, we got 25, 50 times more houses that are our targets than the junkers that all the other folks are looking for. Now, I can't say anything bad about wholesaling and rehabbing. I've done an awful lot of both of them. Wholesaling got me into the business, but sometime in our careers, we have to look toward tomorrow. And if I can make just as much money on the front end on a terms deal, be in and out of it within 30 days, and keep getting paid for a lot of years to come, my favorite part of the business is terms by far.
So just to clarify, because there's two words here that sound very similar. There's quick turn and then there's terms.
Mm-hmm.
And so is that one and the same? Is that what you're saying?
No, in reality, quick term means I've sold the house.
Mm-hmm. Got
In my world, I put a lease option tenant buyer in there, collect a great big multi-thousand non-refundable deposit, and I retain ownership of the house.
Mm-hmm.
So I retain all of the future benefits as well.
Yeah.
Whereas by quick turn, I do not. And I guess you could say I'm quick turning it, but I'm not selling it. I'm just renting it with an option to buy.
Got it.
The other two, I'm selling it.
Okay, so you have a book about quick turn, but your favorite now is the terms, right?
Has been for a lot of years. I still teach it all, and I still do every occasion I do a rehab, but I'm not looking for them, to be honest with you. They have to come up and slap me in the face for me to want to do a rehab today, especially with all the contractor fiascos and the prices are going through the roof and the time delays and so forth. There's just so many other ways to make money. It's a whole lot easier.
Totally.
And
yeah,
fast.
lumber is like the new gold. I remember not too long ago, people posting a pickup truck full of 2x4s and saying, I'm rich on Facebook, and just getting a big reaction.
Yeah.
So I wonder, are the prices still through the roof?
They're not too bad on lumber, but some of the other things that you go into putting a house together are really ridiculous. I had a friend telling me that OSB board, for example, is 5 times the cost that it was just a year ago. That's a big part of building a house, and there's other components. So I think I read somewhere where the overall cost of the materials to renovate a house went up 27% last year. I don't see that, honestly. I don't think they went up that much if you put them all in one pile. Mm-hmm. But there are some components that went up at least 27%.
Got it. So in today's market, are you pivoting away or pivoting at all what you're doing with the terms, or has that pretty held constant through the last 3 years in COVID and all of that?
Well, I'm not pivoting because I've been doing terms for a lot of years. All right. So I'm doing the same thing that I did pre-COVID. I'm doing it post-COVID. So are my thousands and thousands of students. In fact, many of them telling me that 2020 was their best year right in the heart of COVID. It did not even slow us down. And people always need no matter however long we live, there's always going to be people who need to sell and others need to buy. And that's why we have the stability in this industry. We're never going to run out of product. That product need is never going to change. In fact, I read somewhere the other day, we have a housing shortage in this country of 4 million houses. 4 million houses. That's a lot of houses. So regardless of what happens in the economy, we always are going to be able to buy and sell, and always have. I've been through 6 cycles, including 2008, and we never stopped buying houses. We changed with the market. Like now. I've never seen a hotter market than we have right now in my life. Neither is anybody else. So the good news is, like selling is a piece of cake. Literally, we auction them off practically. When we sell them, we get more than they're worth. Mm-hmm. But you got to work harder to buy them. And people say, well, who would take terms in this industry? And the answer is the minority, not the majority. But that's always been the case. Minority is always what we're working with, not the majority. That's what you're working with your system. And you got to put a lot of people in the funnel to get them down to the ones who want to do business with you. Nothing has changed. But we adapt to the market. People always take terms.
Were there any big lessons that you learned from the recession in 2008?
Well, I had 32 commercial developments going on simultaneously in 9 different states. If you want to talk about lessons, we're going to need to schedule 4 or 5 more podcasts, Dave.
We could do that.
Lessons? Are you kidding me? I had $50 million worth of personally guaranteed debt. And you can imagine how that worked out when the whole money dried up, but so did all of the exit strategies. There was nobody to buy all these things that I was building all over the country. So yeah, it haunts me to this day, actually. So yeah, that was a big lesson. I don't know what I could have done about it except maybe not do it. But you know, who knew it was coming? There's a lot of people who knew it was coming now. Nobody
Right.
knew it was coming then.
So your biggest lesson was having that exposure of like owning the real estate.
No, the biggest lesson was the personally guaranteed debt.
Okay.
And also, if I had to do it over, I wouldn't, if I develop something, I'm going to have it sold before I develop it or rented. My mistake was I was developing stuff to sell. I should have been developing stuff to rent. If I would have, I might have got through because I had the income coming in. But I can tell you, boy, people today won't believe what lenders were acting like back there after September of 08. They simply would not give us our own money and our own credit lines. They just simply froze. The whole world froze, and it hasn't been the same since. And it was several years before it even started creeping back. Many builders went out of business. I know one here in Jacksonville put a gun in his head. That's how he solved his problem. But we fought through it. We got through it, and we adapted with the times, and we just kept on doing. And I never stopped doing single-family houses. But if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't have bit off so much at one time, and I would have done nothing but income producing property. Although I like land, I like taking a piece of land and cutting it up into lots. But today I'm not even going to do that unless those lots are sold before I go cutting it up and putting the infrastructure in.
Got it. Yeah. So you pre-sell it before you develop it. That gets rid of your risk. If there was to be a recession, you wouldn't get stuck with a house you bought for 200,000 and then all of a sudden it's worth 100,000 and you're kind of upside down with the amount that you owe. But if you had pre-sold it, you would never be exposed to that type of issue. Is what you're saying.
It's one of the things I like about our turns business. We do not personally guarantee debt. We do non-recourse debt with seller financing or take over their debt. Therefore, our credit report will never show the debt. And if a recession comes, nobody's coming after us for the money. But the good news is, frankly, Dave, the best thing that happened to us is another recession as real estate investors, because it makes it so much easier to buy. And when you sell them on terms, it's always been easier, but it's 10 times easier now than it was. So a good recession every now and then helps us real estate investors. However, that's only true if you don't have a bunch of personally guaranteed short-term debt like rehabbers. I mean, they get in a pickle, but now the values go down. They can't sell it for what they got in it even. In our case, values go down. We just sit around and wait. I mean, look at the difference between 2008 and now. We are at higher values than we were in 2008. If anybody would have believed that that was possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for sharing that. I know it's a question I always have about recessions, and it seems like we're at the end of a cycle where we might have a little bit of a correction, but who knows? I did want to switch gears though, and talk about you being a master on the phone, Ron. I'm curious, when you're talking to a prospect on the phone, what are some qualifying questions that you would ask?
Well, I'll tell you what, you be my seller and I'll be the buyer, and we'll just go through the script. Since I wrote it, I can remember it.
Okay, that sounds really good. So I'm calling Ron.
Well, first of all, my virtual assistants have already talked to you and got the property information sheet filled out. So we don't have to go through all of that. And now I'm making what we call a closing call to you.
Okay.
So either you're going to be interested in terms or you're not. And if you're not, it's going to be a very short call.
Got it. All right.
I'll let you decide which you are.
Yeah.
Okay. So ring, ring, ring.
Yep. So this is David. Hey, Ron, I just talked to your virtual assistant.
No. I'm the buyer. You're the seller.
I'm this. Right.
You're the seller.
I'm selling my house.
Right. Correct. Okay.
Yeah. You're saying I just talked to your virtual assistant and I gave her my details about the house.
No, I'm calling you, Dave.
Oh, you're cold calling me.
I'm calling you. I'm not
Okay.
cold calling you. I'm calling you after they've already talked to you.
Got it.
I told you I'd be calling you.
Okay.
Okay. So now you're going to answer the phone. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Dave, this is Ron. You talked to my assistant yesterday about the house you have for sale, and I'm the principal following up. the guy who writes the checks. You got a minute?
Yeah.
Okay. You indicated on here that you might be interested in letting me make your payment until we get it paid off sometime in the future in lieu of selling it all cash right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I really got a sticky situation here, so that would be really helpful for me.
All right. Well, there's only 3 questions I need to ask you before I come out. First of all, if we do agree upon the rest of the terms, Dave, what is the least you could take for the house?
Well, the least that I could take for the house would be $80,000.
Well, if you're talking to me, we're not talking about an $80,000 house. So you're saying the least you could take would be a 300,000?
That's the least that we could take. That's right, $300,000.
And really, is that the best you can do, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're saying if I don't give you 300, we can't work together?
Correct.
Are you at least a little flexible on that?
No,
So it's 300 or nothing?
that's right.
All right. Well, I can't tell you whether I can pay that till I see the house, but we usually buy with nothing down, okay?
Okay.
All right. So you've got a payment of $1,482 a month. I assume you're okay if I just make that till we get it paid off?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Well, then the next thing for me to do is come take a look at the house. Are you married?
Nope.
You're the only, are you the only owner of the house?
I'm the only owner.
Okay. All right. Well, then I guess you're the only one I need to see. So what time would you like me to come?
4:30.
Okay. One more question, but when I come, if I come out and we do agree on the terms, and I think we're probably close, are you ready to sell your house now and get some paperwork done while I'm there?
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. I'll see you at 4:30.
All right.
Now, Dave, who just made whom the offer?
You asked me to give you my best price.
So who made whom the offer?
I made you the offer.
That is correct. You did indeed. You made me the offer. We don't make offers. We let sellers make us offers by asking them questions.
Got it.
And then we answer their questions with questions.
Yeah. Yeah. So we never got quite to the terms yet. But on the phone, you wouldn't do that, right? You would do that after you've seen the
Hey,
house.
you told me what you wanted and you sold with nothing down, and I can make your payment. What other terms do you want?
I guess that's true.
You made me the offer. You even said it was okay if I make your payment till we pay you off sometime in the future, which in my case is going to be when your loan is paid off. I'll pay you any difference that I owe you.
Okay.
That's how we buy most of the houses, man.
Yeah, it was a pretty smooth call. Where do people get hung up?
You were pretty easy.
Yeah. Where do people get hung up? Like if you say 0 down, do they get hung up there?
About half of them.
Okay.
My next question, well, then what is the least you could take down, Dave?
Yeah. Well, you see, I've got, vet bills for my cat that I need to attend to, $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
He just had surgery.
But we might work that out. I assume the house is in great shape, right?
Well, there's a few parts of the house that are a little torn up.
All right. Well, let's talk about that when I get there then.
Sure.
All right. Might be able to get you some money.
Okay. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Okay. All I'm trying to do here is get you to give me enough reason to want to come to your house, and you already have.
Mm-hmm. I like that. That was smooth.
Yeah.
Well, good role play. And thanks for correcting me on the beginning there. I was a little confused.
Okay. In today's market, most of them will say no to terms. So we also have a script called the no script that we go to that gives them all the reasons they might consider to say yes. But before we get to that, I pre-qualify them. So Dave, you're telling me that if you don't cash out of your house today, when you sell your house, that you cannot sell your house? Is that what you're telling me?
Correct.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, you want all cash. What is the least you could take if I were to pay you all cash?
I mean, what do they say? The same amount, 300,000?
No, almost always it come down some.
Okay. Like 280.
280?
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you right now, if your house is worth 300, I can't pay you 280.
Okay.
Is that really the best you can do?
Yeah, it's the best.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we had this chat, but I don't see how I can work with you with those numbers if things change. Would you please let me know? Because I can tell you this, I close quickly. I usually pay all the closing costs.
Mm-hmm.
We close with an attorney. And frankly, some people want to stay in there for a little while after we close. I'm okay with that. Some people want to leave some of their furniture. I don't care about that either. And of course, there's no commission. I can close when you're ready. So we've either got to come down on the all cash price, or we got to work on terms. Always can pay you more if you're willing to let me make your payment till we pay you all.
Got it. Okay. And then when you get to the final offer, what objection do you have? Objections that pop up there once you've seen the house, you've been through this whole conversation, and you're giving them the actual offer?
Dave, we already have the actual offer. You made me the offer.
Yeah.
When I get to the house, if I want to change it, I'll change it when I get to the house, but I don't want to over negotiate on the phone.
Got it.
Scare you off. Okay, so I'm probably not going to pay you 300,000. Of course, I don't know what the house is worth in our hypothetical example, but this much I do know. Even if I had to pay you 300 and it was worth 300, I'm going to put on the market for 329.9 in today's market on terms, and I'm going to get it. So I'm going to raise the price to create more equity, but I still don't want to pay full retail price. I want some equity in there. So I'd probably try to get you down 280, 285 while I'm out there.
Okay.
Because, very simple, Dave, we're in agreement on just about everything. The only thing that gives me heartburn is that price, because it's absolute maximum retail price. I mean, gosh, man, you'd pay a realtor 6%, wouldn't you? Give me some slack here. Give me a reason to actually want to do this thing. I got to make a few bucks off of it. So what's the least you could take if we can get this thing done? Close next week if you want.
Well, what's 6% of 300,000? What's 18,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could come 18,000 off.
Okay, well, then you and I are going to have a deal, man.
Perfect. That's so smooth. You've always got the right thing to say. And I'm wondering, for anyone listening to this, they're probably a newer investor. Do they need a whole script? Do they need your script? And where can they get that?
Well, I've got a course called the Terms course, which is in it, but I've also got a 4-day training event called Quick Start Real Estate School, which I still teach personally. And they're both in there, and we cover them pretty thoroughly in there.
Got it.
In fact, if they want to get I've got a webinar. It's about an hour and 15 minutes long, and it teaches what we do from beginning to end, step by step. We get there by the mentor podcast .com/terms.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, it's not hard to find.
Sure. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. We'll definitely put it in the notes.
Okay. All right.
And as a newbie, like, people are often concerned about building credibility with the seller from day one. Do you have any tips on that other than following the script?
The people that are concerned about building credibility are the people that need help, not only with the script, but practicing the script. There are 14 mistakes that all people make when they're opening their mouth. And one of those big ones is that they beg. Everybody begs when they come in. Everybody, including the sharpest salesman, the people that have been talking to folks all over their life, they think they can come in and just, I don't need all this crap. I know how to talk to people, but they don't, because they don't know the questions to ask. They don't know how to get the seller to make us the offer. And most of the time, they don't even know how to talk to people. When you talk to people, it's in the tone of your voice. I tell people to record practice conversations, Dave, before they ever talk to a seller. Play them back with my 14 mistakes in front of them and with a barf bag right next door, and they'll be able to see how crappy they are on the phone. You cannot pick up your own mistakes while you're talking. You have to play them back and listen to them. And I make them do that 25 times before they get on the phone. And the whole thing is two big keys to the terms business: generating quality leads and handling that closing call, because the rest is easy and most of it is done for you. We're so systemized today, there ain't a whole lot to do. This is an extremely part-time business if you let the system that we got set up work for you. Virtual assistants make the outbound calls. They do all the grunt work. Got a company taking the inbound calls from buyers and sellers. So really all my people got to do is make decisions and make sure the thing is working and that the leads are generated, and let other people do what they do. In fact, I tell them to quickly replace yourself even on that closing call, because most people don't want to do it. So exchange some dollars, a little bit of dollars, for somebody else making those calls. And now you got a machine that's running without you. And all you got to do is step in and make some decisions from time to time. In my case, I don't even hardly do that anymore, because I even, believe it or not, you can even delegate that. I teach people, Dave, there's not one thing you do in your business somebody else can't do for you. Not one.
This is a good transition because the next thing I wanted to ask about was you're known for saying the less I do, the more I make. And I think that you're kind of heading that direction, but can you explain what the meaning of that phrase is?
Actually, I just did. Get the hell out of your own way and let the systems run for you. And you don't have to be in minutia all day long doing stupid stuff that the leader shouldn't be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because all the time you spend on minutia, you're not spending on focusing on creating revenue. You work more about cost control, and the leader cannot do that. Everything you do can be assigned to somebody else. So if you don't have somebody, you just get somebody else. And it's so easy to get help. It's all done from people's homes today. I mean, you don't even have to have an office. I got a big old building, hardly anybody in it most of the time nowadays after COVID. If there's only a few tasks that a real estate investor's got to do, and all of that can easily be job. We do most of it for you to begin with. There's not much left for you to even find somebody else to do, except maybe put a lockbox on the house and go check on it from time to time. We don't show houses. That's not, we don't sell houses by going out and running out there every time somebody wants to see them. We should let them show themselves. It's all automated. And if you add automation and delegation to just the simple things you got to do to buy and sell houses, you got a business that can produce a massive amount of income with a very minimal amount of work. And what I really like is the minimal amount of overhead. I've never seen a business that has such a small overhead that produces such high transaction values as we do in real estate. I mean, you show me a retail store, they wish they could get $20,000 or $30,000 out of the house that they don't have any money and credit invested in. They just wish they could. Well, we can, and we don't have all that massive overhead. I've had 6 restaurants. If you want to really understand what a real business is like, go buy a restaurant.
Wow, I didn't know you had to have 6 restaurants.
Six. And none of them made any money. And they were all giant pain in the ass. And the risk was horrendous. And the grief was horrendous. For what? To make a little bit of money if they did work. You kidding me? We can go flip a house. I can go flip one house and make more than most people make working a year in a restaurant.
Do you still have the restaurants? Okay, you sold them.
I sold my last one in September of 2019.
Okay.
Right before COVID.
Nice. Yeah, that was a good timing for you.
Yeah, I went there to eat the other day and he asked me if I wanted to buy it back.
And you said, depends on the terms.
No thanks, period. No, I got better things to do to write checks to support a restaurant.
Makes sense. So if somebody's listening to this that's brand new and you're talking about automation and delegation, I mean, is that what they should be focused on right now? How many deals should they do before they actually start trying to outsource stuff?
None. They should get the outsourcing so inexpensive. Like it costs $200 a month to have your phone answered 24 hours a day. Our VAs, our Gold Club is only $59 a month. Our VAs are $105 for 5 hours, and they're charged by the minute, not by the hour they work, but by the minute they work. And honestly, other than that, there ain't a whole lot more overhead other than if you want to spend some money to generate leads, and you should spend some. A lot of them are free. Some of them you have to pay for. Ones you pay for are higher quality, of course. But the overhead is just minimal. I mean, minimal. I mean, I've never seen a business. I guarantee you your overhead's bigger. I don't care if you're sitting in your house or not. Your overhead is bigger than any real estate investor out there buying and selling a few houses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the first thing that you could do is have somebody answer your phone with your VAs that cost $200 a month, is what I'm hearing.
Now we have a service called Pat Live that answers the phone.
Gotcha.
Our VAs make outbound calls, 60,000 of them a month, to for sale by owners to get the information on their house.
Okay, got it.
Also manage the website for our folks and run ads and build flyers and do all kinds of other minutia stuff.
Mm-hmm. So you talked about terms. It seems like most of those you do seller financing when you sell them, right? You also sell them on. No,
I buy them on seller financing. I lease option them here in Florida. In Texas, they have to buy them with owner financing and sell them with owner financing because they can't do the lease options. But all the other states were free to lease option.
So lease option, if the person, the resident, does not pay, what is the process to get them out?
Well, first of all, I don't have that problem because nobody's getting the keys to my house till they have somewhere around 10% of the purchase price as a non-refundable option deposit.
Okay.
The prettier the house, the easier that is to get.
Mm-hmm.
And when I get that, it's clear. We close with an attorney. It's clear if they don't pay the rent, they're going to lose that deposit.
Mhm.
I don't have trouble getting people to pay the rent. But if
Mhm.
they don't, if that were to be the case and they didn't move willingly, I just have them evicted.
Got it.
So, my minimum, I ain't doing a deal in the insurance business with less than a $20,000 upfront deposit. And that's only about a $250,000 house. So when you get that, that's non-refundable. They either, if they go and get a loan and they cash out, they get credit toward their down payment. I don't have to bring it to closing. It's my money.
Mhm.
I get it, but they get credit toward their down payment at closing. And then if they leave, then they forfeit it, clearly spelled out up front. And frankly, most of them leave. Most
Got
of
it.
them do not buy. So then I
Got it.
got
So you don't have to wait for any type of eviction process because or a foreclosure process, right? Because
if they don't pay and they don't want to pay and you can't work it out with them peacefully, you'd have to evict them. But I can't remember the last time I evicted anybody, Dave. These are different quality people than tenants that can barely afford the first month's rent. They act like owners. By the way, they're responsible for 100% of the repairs as long as they're in the house.
Mhm.
I've got 2 tenant buyers that have been in the house over 12 years. I haven't done a thing to the house in 12 years. Now their option expired 11 years ago, but they don't seem to care, so I don't care.
Got it.
They can stay there till they die or whatever.
Yeah.
One of them paid off my house already. God bless them.
That's great.
Tenant buyers are different league than tenants.
Mm-hmm. Last question though for you is what are the big no-nos with the seller financing strategy?
The big no-nos, I don't personally guarantee the debt. That's the biggest no-no. We do not personally guarantee debt under any circumstances, period. No exceptions in the family house business. There's 3 ways you lose. You guarantee debt. You can lose your credit, you can lose your assets, and you can lose your marriage. For what? To buy a house. Better to get trained how to go do it without guaranteeing debt. We do not guarantee debt. And because of that, the only way we could ever lose is there is no way we can lose, because the minute I put a tenant buyer in the house, I got my money back plenty more. Mm-hmm. So worst case could happen to that. Some reason you lose the house afterward, but even then nobody's coming after you for the debt. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I have to say that about 7 times to get people to absorb it, Dave, but sooner or later they get it.
Don't personally guarantee the debt. It's not worth losing your credit, your marriage, or anything else over, or taxes.
Not to mention, how many personally guaranteed debts do you think you're going to have on your credit report before all the banks cut you off at the knees anyway?
Yeah, true.
Every time you sign on to debt, you're closer and closer to being non-bankable.
Well, we covered a lot of stuff. It was great to see how your journey evolved through attending that seminar and doing quick turn to then doing terms, which you've done for years. And the fact that you didn't have to do anything different when we had the recession or when we had COVID as well. So I personally learned a lot, and just thank you so much for spending some time with us today, Ron.
My pleasure.
If you guys want to get in touch with Ron, I believe the best way is to go listen to the Mentor podcast, right? Yeah,
go join the mentorpodcast.com. In this case, if you want to go to my hour and 15-minute training, thementorpodcast.com/terms. And frankly, I'm easy to find. Just Google me. And the next time we do this, I might even have a tooth.
That's right. And to everyone watching, my name's David Lecco with DealMachine. Ron, best of luck at the dentist. And to everyone else, happy deal finding out there. We'll connect with you again soon.